Hello, welcome back to the YarnNYarns YouTube channel. My name is Angela and all the places you can find me should be linked in the description box below this video. Here on the channel you'll find me chatting about my adventures in knitting, spinning, crochet and weaving, all of the fibre related things. Today's video is cast on number 11 of our 12 Cast Ons adventure 2024. This happens to be the first video that you're clicking on here on the YarnNYarns YouTube channel, then you are most welcome. But you may not be aware of the 12 Cast Ons. It's a little cast on party that I host at the end of each year going into the beginning of the next. So we start our cast ons on the 24th of December and we're going through until the end of January. And in that time we're casting on between 1 and 12 projects to set ourselves up for our year or years worth of making. And if you'd like to know more about the make along, what I've been casting on either this year or in previous years, there are some playlists on the main page of the YouTube channel if you want to go back and check those out. It is my final week of cast ons, although I think it is extremely likely that these videos aren't going to go up until February. I'm a little bit behind with the editing, as I thought I might be. I'm taking things at a slightly slower pace this year, and I think it's okay if the cast on videos bleed over into February. I'm okay with that, so I hope you are too. Only a couple of days left. It's Saturday the something of January, 27th of January as I'm recording this, and I thought I had my 2 days, like today and tomorrow. I thought I had my 2 days worth of cast ons planned out. Unfortunately, I haven't quite been able to make things work from my stash, so I've recently been gifted 2 patterns that I really wanted to try and get on the needles, and for both of those projects I haven't got quite enough of the right stuff in my stash to make them work. Because those were lovely gift patterns, I would like to get those on the needles soon, so I might be heading towards an unofficial 13th and 14th cast on, because why not? But for today it means I've been scrambling around a little bit trying to figure out what to cast on, and I've gone back to my original list because I might have already mentioned in a previous video that I veered off thinking I might be casting on some different things, and yeah. So I went back to my original list to see what was on there, and I had one kind of generic idea of just working with something from my handspun stash. I didn't really specify any more than that, so I thought I would revisit that one today, and we're going to cast on with some handspun yarn. So I've spent more time than I probably wanted to this afternoon looking through my bins of handspun. I've got 2 sort of plastic totes of handspun yarns that I've just made over the last however many years it is I've been spinning. It must be at least 5 by now, I would think. I came up with lots of different possibilities, and in the end I've gone with something that if you'd have asked me at the beginning of the cast ons, like, would I cast this on with this particular yarn, it wouldn't even have been anywhere close to my radar. So I'm just going with it. I'm just going to have some fun with this project. Found these 2 skeins of yarn in my handspun stash, and they're both singles yarns, which I had a little spate probably a couple of years ago now, and there might even be some videos on the channel connected to me spinning these up. I definitely remember spinning at least one of these when I was having a little bout of insomnia. I sometimes suffer from insomnia, and I remember, I think it might have been this one, although I won't swear to it, but I definitely remember spinning some singles yarn at about 3 o'clock in the morning when I couldn't sleep. So yeah, I have these 2 in my stash, and they've been sat there for a while because I don't necessarily work with singles yarn that often. They go quite nicely together because of the sort of pink tones in this one. So this one was some fibre from YarnNYarns. I have a sneaking suspicion they're probably not in existence anymore, and this was Shetland fibre, and this one was from Wildcraft, and this is merino. I spun this one in July 2022 thanks to my handy dandy notes, and this one I'm not sure when I spun. I didn't actually put that on there, so hey, my record keeping is not that consistent when it comes to my handspuns. I saw these together. They actually were bagged up together because they were the singles. They're not amazingly consistent. I was just trying to practice the art of spinning singles because, yeah, it can be quite tricky to spin a consistent singles. I thought, why not try to come up with a project to use those 2 skeins that might otherwise sit there for many more years to come. I mean, we're in 2024 now, so they've already been sat there for almost 3 years waiting patiently for a project. And so I was having a little look through my pattern books, and I rediscovered this one, which is called Cozy Alpaca Knits by Jem Weston, and this I think was in conjunction with YarnNYarns. All of the yarns in here are either the Rowan classic alpaca or the Rowan felted tweed. And actually I've made a few things from this book in the past, including a version of this beautiful tasselled wall hanging. I'd love to make another one of those at some point, probably from my handspun. I really love the cardigan in here as well, but I didn't have enough yarn to figure that out, so I might think about doing that in the future. But anyway, already digressing. I am going to be making a version of a project in here which is called the Tassel Pillow. So it's a little bit of homeware, a knitted cushion, and this is the one that I'm going to be taking inspiration from. Now you can probably tell from the picture that this side here, so this is knit in 2 panels, and one goes in one direction and the other goes in the other, and you sort of join them together. This one here uses lots of different colours in there, sort of striping. So my plan is to use this multicoloured yarn for that side of the pillow and the pink for the plain side. I'm not sure if I've got enough yarn here really, because my yarn is going to be slightly different gauge to the double knit called for in that pattern. I'm going to kind of wing it and come up with something inspired by that pattern. The pillow pattern has some texture, as in stockinette panels with a few sort of garter bumps, so I will be following pattern in that regard. But yeah, I'm just going to kind of wing it and see what happens. So it should be quite a nice laid back cozy knit, just to see where it goes, and I'm sure even if I don't have quite enough yarn, I'll be able to make it work somehow. And as I say, it'd just be really nice to see how these knit up, how consistent my singles are. I can see from just looking at them they're not super consistent, but I'm interested to see how they hold together when I'm knitting. I did slightly full these, so felt them, so agitate the fibres in the wash to try and get them to be a little bit more stable, to stick together, so they're not just going to be drifting apart when I'm knitting with them. It will be interesting to see whether I actually manage to achieve that, and yeah, it might inspire me to play around with singles again in my spinning. I think I'm more looking forward to this one with all of the different colours in, which probably means I will start the panel that's just the plain colour. There are some variegations in the pink, so it's not entirely one plain colour, so it's not going to be a huge slog to knit through that, I think. But I think I'm more likely to be inspired to get back to this project more quickly if I have the multicoloured yarn to look forward to. Not that I'm going to be knitting one whole side of the panel today. It's already quite late in the day today, and I've got a whole bunch of boring life admin that I need to get done today, so there's probably not going to be a huge amount of knitting time today. I did go out for a walk, so I share some footage with that. I went down to the lake again, which I have already shared in our 12 Cast On videos, but rather than spending too much time wandering around the lake, I actually did a little trip into the recreation of the medieval village there, so I've got a little bit of footage of that to share with you. And I've also got a really fun little bit, I hope, a little clip of a very over-friendly cow who took a liking to my coat. So yeah, my walk this morning, I got licked by a cow. That doesn't happen to you every day, does it? Maybe it does. Maybe you live on a farm and your days consist of being licked by cows, but it doesn't happen to me very much. So of course I will share that footage with you, and my cast on footage as per usual. You probably know the drill by now. We're on the 11th version of this video for the 2024 cast ons, so yeah, I'm sure you're familiar with the format. Right, let's get to it. So it's time for me to wrap up day 11 of our 12 Cast Ons 2024, share with you the progress that I made on my handspun pillow. But before I do that, of course, I need to catch you up with some of the cast-ons that have been happening in our lovely Yarn and Yarns community. The cast-on portion of our make-along has officially come to an end now. It ended on the 31st of January. I'm still a couple of weeks behind catching up with everyone's comments, so I still have plenty of cast-ons to share. Louise has cast on a snap hat using up some leftovers and a shawl. Ginny has been working on some waffle socks and a mitered square blanket. Tonya has started a baby blanket and some intarsia socks, and she's also started some soap sacks which she will be donating to a local homeless shelter. So that's a wonderful project, Tonya. Marianne has started Afghan make-along, mystery knit-along, a Which One sweater, a Louvre sweater, a love letter top, a nightly sweater, a dappled lace raglan and maize mitts, and she said all but one of those, so everything but the love letter, is made from handspun yarn, so that's just amazing. Andrea has started a pair of mitts which are a replacement for a friend whose puppy chewed up her hand knit mitts, so Andrea has stepped in and decided to cast on a new pair for her friend. Nina has started a flax for her son, is testing the Salty Air double knit version patterned by Samantha Gawain. Has also started some stripy socks and a scrappy pillow cover. That seems quite fitting given that I'm also knitting a pillow cover in this video. Nancy has recast on a pair of socks from a Crazy Zauber Ball yarn that she had previously cast on, but she's tweaking the stitch count and has now recast on with a slightly smaller stitch count. Ellie has been learning brioche and has been knitting the basic brioche hat from Pearl Soho and has also cast on a Bingham sweater. The Knitting Bandit has been doing some spinning on their Turkish spindles and is following along with the Arctic Knitter. The Arctic Knitter or the Arctic Crafter, I might have written that down wrong, but Bente is hosting a spin and knit along. Julia said that she has been changing her knitting habits. She's in the past been a little bit more of a monogamous knitter, but has cast on 2 hats, a cowl, a sweater and some lace socks, and at the time of commenting had a couple more cast-ons planned as well. Elaine has cast on a violet cap. Lottie has started a Sophie's Universe blanket. Teresa has started and finished a dishcloth and some worsted weight socks. Julianne has cast on some totally rad ribbed socks and a Rapunzel cardigan for her sister, lucky sister. Yolanda started her 12th cast on, and it's the Roots and Shoots sweater, so thank you so much Yolanda for joining in with the full 12 cast-ons. Kimmy has started 2 pairs of socks, a crochet blanket, a 1940s top, and is also working on some crochet granny squares. Nancy has finished 2 of her cast-ons, the Friend to Friend shrug and the Star Roller, so well done Nancy. And finally for this video, Deborah has started and finished 2 charity blankets, a hat for her husband, a jacket for her grandson and a cowl for a friend. So yeah, I've been seeing lots of finished projects already over on the Ravelry threads and the Instagram posts as well. So please do continue to use those threads. We will be continuing our make along throughout the whole of 2024. So for the projects that you cast on during our little cast on party, please do continue to work on them, post your progress using the Ravelry threads. There's chatter threads and there's also finished object threads over in the Ravelry group, and also continue to use that hashtag 12 Cast Ons 2024 on Instagram, and I'll continue to repost any projects that I see over there too. So yeah, I think I'm still got a little bit of catching up to do on Instagram. I think I'm mostly there, but I think just on Instagram alone I have reposted about 350 projects that have been cast on during our month-long cast on party, which is just absolutely amazing. So thank you to everyone who has been joining in. Thank you to everyone who has joined in and has been sharing their posts either on Ravelry or Instagram. It's just so much fun for me to see all of the wonderful new projects that are popping up all over the place, and I shall look forward to going through the rest of the year and seeing how many of your wonderful projects get turned into finished objects. Just quickly before I share with you my progress on my pillow, I want to give a big shout out to my lovely friend Mandy, because I'm wearing a new sweater today. My camera angle is not the best, but it arrived in the mail today And if you've been following along for a little while, you might remember that Mandy knit me a sweater a few years ago. I had the great pleasure of meeting Mandy at Wonderwall, and then when I had the YarnNYarns shop, she also came to visit with her husband for the day, and they came and sat in the shop and kept me company, and then we came home for a cup of tea, and Mandy very kindly gifted me a purple sweater with a similar yoke to this. I think it's a Jen Steingauss pattern, and I wear that sweater all of the time. And completely out of the blue, in a massive surprise today, this beautiful sweater arrived, and Mandy said that she actually knit this one for herself at a very similar time that as she had knitted me the purple one, but this one no longer fits her, so as I think they were the same size, she sent this one on to me, as she knows that I still wear the purple one. She sees it popping up on my videos, so thank you so much, Mandy. I just am totally blown away, and I already completely treasure that first sweater that you knit for me, because I, as a knitter, as we all do here, appreciate how much time and effort goes into making a sweater, and so to have a second one of your beautiful knits to wear and treasure is just a real honour. So thank you so much for thinking of me, and yeah, know that I will love this sweater for many years to come. Right, okay, so let me share with you my little progress on my knitted pillow, trying to wrestle it out of the project bag. So I'm keeping this in a project bag with these beautiful gnomes on, but I picked it for the colours because I think this matches the colours in the yarns that I've chosen. And that project bag was a lovely gift to me from Sylvia, one of our wonderful community members. I managed to do a reasonable amount of knitting on that first day of cast ons, given that I started the project late in the day, but thankfully this is quite sort of simple backwards and forwards knitting. So here's my progress. It's curling up on itself a little bit at the moment, but I managed to knit a fair few inches of the first panel of the sweater. Hopefully you can just about see the texture. Obviously the texture gets a little bit lost in the variegated nature of the yarn, but I knew that would happen going in, and I'm more than happy with that. It's actually been really fun to knit with this yarn, and it's pretty strong. I'm quite surprised. I had visions of me knitting with this singles yarn and it kind of drifting apart because I hadn't quite spun or felted it as much as it needed, but so far, touch wood and all that, the pink has been working up really well. The blue and pink one might be a different story, we shall see, because as I wound it up, let me try and hook it out of the bag, it did actually break in several places where obviously I had underspun it or I hadn't quite fooled it or felted it enough. So I've got several little balls of this, but I'm not too worried about that. There's a fair bit of tension on my yarn as I wind it from my Swift onto my ball winder. So hopefully winding this up has kind of already weeded out all of the weak points in the yarn, but we'll see as we go along. Although my singles is reasonably thick and thin in places, it's knitting up absolutely fine. I thought it would be a little bit more textured than it is because of the sort of thick and thin nature of the yarn, but actually it's pretty good. There are a few sort of spots where you can see the yarn is not the most consistent, but overall it's fairly good, I think. So yeah, the knitted fabric is a lot more consistent than I had thought that it might be, which has been a really pleasant surprise. That is everything, I think, for day 11 of our 12 Cast Ons adventure. Just one more cast on video to come, so please do let me know in the comments below if there are any cast ons, that if there are any new projects that you started before the end of January that you haven't yet told me about, then do let me know in the comments. If you cast on multiple projects, please do let me know in the comments which ones you have revisited first, because yeah, I think there's always a few favourites if you've cast on multiple, ones that you're sort of drawn to more than others. So yeah, I'd love to know which projects you have been working on. I will hopefully be back in a few days' time with the final cast on video for 2024. So I hope you'll join me for that one. But until we do get to spend time together again, I hope you get to do some of the things that you enjoy. Great big woolly hugs to you all. Bye for now. Bye.